Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bullony Basketball. This is episode 21. As you guys know, I'm here with my co-host, Johnny. How's it going, Johnny?
What's going on, Garrett? Really nothing new happening with me, but ready to talk another week's worth of basketball with you and a special guest if you want to introduce him.
Yeah, there is maybe not something new specifically with your week, Johnny, but we do have a new guest this week. You can find him. His name is Sports Wikipedia, and I'll put the link in the description below on Twitter. But how's it going, my man?
Going good. Same old. Ready to talk basketball.
Yeah, that's the passion, the intensity I like to see. But yeah, so we kind of have a lot of stuff to talk about. First things first, this was one of the hot topics this week. So the Miami Heat, now they've played the Milwaukee Bucks twice this season, and they're currently 2-0 against the Bucks, who the Bucks they're like on pace for 70 wins this season, so that's kind of insane. Do you guys think that the Heat have the Bucks number?
I'm not sure if you can say Miami has their number, but out of the Eastern teams, Miami definitely has done the best against the Bucks. The Bucks are 0-2 versus Miami. Versus the other top. The Celtics are 1-1. The Bucks are 3-1. They're 2-1 versus the Sixers, and they're 2-1 versus the Raptors. Still, like I said, other top Eastern teams, they've done solid. And both the games, the Heat beat the Bucks. Their 3-point offense did solid. And this season, the Heat 3-point offense has been pretty solid, and the Bucks 3-point defense has been weak. Miami knew Bucks 3-point defense is weak, so they took advantage of that in the most recent game and shot 18 out of 37 in the most recent game. But that was pretty much the only area Miami shot solid. So when Miami does face the Bucks again on March 16th, the 3-point shooting might not work because good chance Bucks are going to expect that. Can Miami beat Bucks without dominating at 3-point offense? And also, Miami is 0-2 versus Celtics, so you can say Celtics does have Miami's number.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Johnny, you want to give your take on it?
Yeah, of course. I'm not really ready to go that far to say the Heat have the Bucks number, but I will agree that they are the top contender from the East outside of Milwaukee. A lot of it has to do with their defense. They don't have a number of guys that you can throw out at Giannis, but they're most likely going to start with Jimmy Butler. Bam's a good defender. They picked up two good guys at the deadline in Crowder and Iggy, so they have bodies to at least throw at Milwaukee. And we've seen last year in the playoffs too that when you play Milwaukee, you just go all out to stop Giannis, and you're going to live with the results, right? Because the Bucks' best player is Chris Middleton, and he's good, but I'm not ready to say he's able to be the second best player on a championship team. And for that reason alone, if you face the Bucks in a playoff series, you are just going to blitz Giannis and make somebody else beat you and live with the results. So, given that, that's kind of where I lean right now. If Milwaukee did match up with Miami in the playoffs, I could see it going 6 or 7.
Yeah, I could definitely see it going 6 or 7 as well. In terms of them having the Bucks number, I don't necessarily know because, this game was in Miami and the one earlier was in Milwaukee, but these were two completely different teams. We hadn't seen the Heat with Jimmy Butler, with Andre Iguodala, which they've actually kind of surprisingly been worse with Iguodala. But also, with the Bucks, they weren't really the same team early in the season. I remember we were talking the first week and a half on, one of the first episodes that, this isn't the same Bucks team as, last year. They're struggling. And then, of course, they figured it out. But, yeah, there's kind of some concern to be 0-2 against this team. But I think the Bucks, I expect them to probably take care of business in the next matchup this season. And in a playoff series, I think the Bucks will prevail.
Yeah, that's basically where I stand at the moment as well.
Yeah. Moving on though, big game actually from LeVert, who led a nice comeback for the Nets, beating the Boston Celtics. He had 51 points, 37 in the fourth quarter and overtime. What did you guys think of the performance from LeVert?
It's probably his best game that he's had so far in his career. And when it mattered most in the fourth quarter and overtime, he stepped up.
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of looking at this Caris LeVert thing into the future, right? Because I'm kind of looking to see how is he going to fit next year when Kyrie and KD are healthy. To me, outside of the obvious health concerns with KD and Kyrie next year, LeVert is the key to the Nets' hopes of winning a championship. They already have a somewhat big three with KD, Kyrie, and DeAndre Jordan. A guy like Caris LeVert can be huge for the team, a fourth option, either him or Dinwiddie. And LeVert single-handedly beat the Celtics. Like it wasn't like one of those games where he just scored a lot of points. Like he single-handedly beat them, and that was incredible to watch.
Yeah, it was definitely insane. Especially like looking into the future, like you said. Personally, I feel like next year they're probably gonna have Dinwiddie and LeVert off the bench is kind of like a bold prediction, I guess, by me, because I know like a lot of people have them both starting potentially or whatever, or at least one of them. But I think like Joe Harris kind of complements Kyrie and Durant more in the starting lineup, and to put like LeVert and Dinwiddie off the bench to have two scoring punches, I think that's huge. But I just kind of think it's pretty amazing what Caris LeVert's doing after that gruesome injury last season at the beginning of the year when he was basically playing like an all-star. And, I mean, a lot of people don't remember that. I mean, D'Angelo Russell was an all-star with the Nets last year, but at the beginning of the year, it looked like Caris LeVert was the main guy. And then, of course, he had, like, that nasty injury. But it's good to see that he's recovering nicely from it. And, I mean, yeah, just like Sports Wikipedia said, this is probably the best game he's had so far in his career.
Now, the performance he did have was great, but I'm pretty sure Jason Tatum was hurt, and I think Hayward got hurt in the game.
Yeah, that is, of course, true. But, I mean, you also got to look at the Nets. Like, they're playing guys like Chris Chiozza, Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot, like, at the end of the games. So, I mean, it's definitely not, I wouldn't say really that much of a formidable team for the Nets right now. But regardless, it was still kind of impressive. But let's move on. Another player that kind of had a surprising performance was Shake Milton. Had 39 points for the Sixers against the Clippers over this past weekend. They did lose the game, but with Embiid's injury and with Ben Simmons being hurt, Josh Richardson has a concussion now. Guys like Matisse Thybulle, Furkan Korkmaz, Glenn Robinson III, Alec Burks, Raul Neto. How important is it for those guys, like the rest of the Sixers bench, to like actually step up in their absence?
Alex Burks, Glenn Robinson, and this other player named Thybulle, something like that. All those three players can shoot well from three, and the Sixers' three-point offense does need some work, so they can help Sixers' three-point offense get better.
Yep. Obviously, they need their depth to show just because health concerns have always been a thing for the Sixers team. On any given night, the Sixers can look like the best team in the league, and then the next night they could lose. They can get blown out by Detroit. Inconsistent all around the board. Any little bit of help and consistency off the bench is key for them. I don't expect Milton to be a huge contributor for them moving forward. I just expect it to be one of those one-time performances.
Yeah. I mean, oh wait, do you have something to say, Sports Wiki? Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think Alex Burks is a pick-and-roll player, and Sixers' pick-and-roll offense does need some work, so he can help with that too.
Definitely. And I mean, he's also got like the catch-and-shoot ability, which JJ Redick had for them last year. So that's definitely huge, but I think they really need to figure it out. The whole Sixers have been like a mess. Like I even saw a report saying like Glenn Robinson III recently, he like doesn't understand his role with this Sixers team right now. So I mean, obviously like you want to know like what you're there for, what you're supposed to be doing. And I mean guys like Raul Neto, Shake Milton, I mean I don't think they're proven enough to be getting like playoff minutes necessarily. So, I mean, I think this is an important stretch for them. Maybe they can, like, show themselves. And, I mean, who knows? Maybe it could actually help the Sixers in the long run and prove us all wrong with their bench depth.
And another thing the Sixers need to work on is figure out how to get more scoring opportunities because they rank 25th in field goal attempts.
Yeah, I mean, no disagreement there, really. Just like kind of the whole thing with the Sixers, kind of just been disappointing, but obviously they're going to be a playoff team, so they still have time to make up for it. Moving on, though, this is a pretty interesting one. So Greg Popovich in a game against the Hornets, for personal reasons, he didn't coach the game. And Tim Duncan actually stepped in as the head coach instead of like Becky Hammon. What were your guys' thoughts on one, Tim Duncan's performance as coaching, and two, like the choice of picking him over Becky Hammon?
I mean, he did lead the Hornets to a victory, but I don't know if you guys know this. On November 16th, Popovich did get ejected, and so Duncan did took over head coach as the rest of the game versus the Trailblazers, and Spurs lost that game 121 to 116.
In terms of this game here against the Hornets, post-game, Duncan said that he really didn't do anything other than yell at the players, and he kind of delegated the rest of the coaching stuff to Becky Hammon and the rest of the staff. So I'm not necessarily convinced by any means that he had like a great performance or whatnot. Obviously, they escaped with a win, which is a good thing. But I'm not really ready. I'm not really here to judge Duncan on his performance. I'm not really sure there is a great way to do so, honestly.
Yeah.
Duncan did say head coaching is it something he would want to do. So good chance when Popovich does retire, head coaching job will go to Becky Hammon.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing that really surprised me. I kind of figured like Becky Hammon would be the one actually doing the head coaching responsibility. But, I mean, Tim Duncan, I mean, he kind of got that call, like you said, in that Trailblazers game. He got the call against the Hornets. And, I mean, it's the Hornets. Like, I mean, unless he blew them out by, like, 20 or 30 or something, I don't think we can really gauge it as, like, a great performance necessarily because, like, they almost blew it at the end. But they did escape with the win. So, obviously, he's undefeated in his head coaching career so far. But, I would like to see Tim Duncan as a head coach. I think that would be pretty cool. But at the same time, I feel like Becky Hammon, she's been there for a long time. And, I mean, she's taken over sometimes for Popovich in previous years that I think she kind of deserves, a spot in there as well.
Yeah, I'm starting to think and starting to lean that Becky Hammon gets the gig when Popovich calls it quits.
Yeah.
Because Becky Hammon with the Spurs staff since 2014, I believe.
Yeah. But I guess only time will tell. But obviously the Spurs, they're kind of fighting to get in the playoffs, but they're not the only team that's been fighting to get in the playoffs. In fact, the Sacramento Kings have been making an insane push after kind of a horrible start to the season, very disappointing. They were the 9 seed last year. A lot of people thought they'd be the 8 seed, like a shoe-in for sure this year. But they're kind of back in the mix, and they could make a final playoff run. Do you guys like the chances for the Kings making the playoffs?
Well, they've won their last 11 or 12 out of their last 16, and the addition of Kent Bazemore has been a big part of their recent success, in my opinion.
I am in no way, shape, or form ready to give them any lean towards getting a seed. I still have them behind both Memphis and New Orleans, and possibly another team that we're going to talk about coming up. So I'm not really buying this at all. They're playing great basketball of late, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't really see it happening either. I think we both said this, me and you, Johnny, at the beginning of the year, like the Kings would be close, like yet again, but they wouldn't get in. And it's looking like it might end up being like that. I think there's other teams that will end up getting in above them, and they won't get a top 8 spot. But I'm pretty impressed ever since like Harrison Barnes' comment about not shaving until they're 500, and they've gone on this like big stretch where they've won like you said, 11 or so of their last 16. Like, that's pretty funny to me, at least.
Yeah, I do actually remember seeing that as well. When I saw it, I was like, looks like this guy's never going to shave during the season.
Yeah, or at least like not till next year or something. But yeah, I was pretty impressed with how they've been playing so far, considering all that.
And also their player Harry Gills or something like that has been doing more than usual. I mean, in the season he's averaging almost 7 points, but combined the last 6 games he's averaged double that, 14.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of weird. It's like a completely different Kings team. I think they kind of need to adjust with like all their new pieces, because they did do a lot of stuff in the offseason too. But I think now they're kind of in a groove, and I just don't know if they're going to end up in the top 8, but it looks like they're going to end the year pretty strong.
And also, injuries have hurted the Kings. I mean, De'Aaron Fox has missed 19 games, and Marvin Bagley has only played 13 games.
Yeah, Marvin Bagley, he was out like since the first game. Like, I mean, and De'Aaron Fox, I think it was like only about a week or 2 into the season. So they just can't catch a break this year. But obviously, they're not the only team that really can't catch a break. And kind of in a similar situation to this Kings team is the Portland Trailblazers, who they've made the playoffs the last 6 years. They're currently in the 9 seed, about 3.5 games back of Memphis for that 8 seed. Obviously, they just got Damian Lillard back in their win on Wednesday against the Wizards. What do you guys think of the Trailblazers' chances? Do you think they end up getting in the playoff picture?
Well, obviously, Lillard did miss the last 6 games, and the Trailblazers were struggling. I mean, he's their top guy. Right now, Blazers are in the playoff hunt. Like you said, they're 9th in the West. Blazers need Lillard more than ever to get in the playoff spot. They have 19 games left. Lillard and his teammates are going to have to play hard rest of the season to get into playoffs. Pressure is on Trailblazers, but more so on Lillard, in my opinion, because he's their main guy, best player, their leader. Can Lillard lead his team to the playoffs with the pressure?
I'm not really necessarily ready to say that there's pressure on Lillard to do it, just given the circumstances that have surrounded this team since the beginning. Injury, they've been plagued with injury the whole season. They haven't been able to play the 5 guys in a starting lineup that they imagined they'd be starting since the beginning of the season. So, given that and everything else that's happened, I think that they're still in a decent spot with all of that. I just don't think that they will make the playoffs. They need to have because the thing is, not only do they need to have a great rest of the season, but they need the teams in front of them to struggle, and with that, it just doesn't seem very likely.
It's just that Lillard is having a great season, and it would suck that if his team didn't make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, like I think I've said on here before, it's really unfortunate for Damian Lillard because, I mean, a lot of people before this season were probably pegging him as like the second best point guard in the league, only behind Steph Curry, who had, eliminated him many of the past few postseasons. And then, of course, Curry goes down with an injury, and it's like Lillard has this opening, to be like, okay, I'm the top point guard in the game. And it's just that his team's been injured. Like, Yusuf Nurkic has been out. Rodney Hood tears his Achilles. Zach Collins has missed, like, almost, like, all but, like, the first 2 weeks of the season. So it's really tough, really unfortunate. But obviously getting Damian Lillard back is a big help. Still have CJ McCollum as well, Carmelo Anthony, Hassan Whiteside, and they do have one of the easier schedules left, and the Grizzlies have the toughest schedule left. So I'm gonna say they're going to make it. I'm still gonna believe in this team. I think they will get the 8th seed. I don't really know if the Grizzlies get it. Then props to them, because that means they had to win a lot of tough games. But I still think that the Trailblazers get in as the 8th seed.
I give the Blazers a fighter's chance, but right now I'm going with the Pels. I just think New Orleans has too much talent not to make it.
I think that would be my next pick. And I mean, I'm probably seeming like a Grizzlies hater, but it's like the Pelicans also do have an easy schedule, and they're about a game and a half back, I believe, of the Trailblazers. It's just that the fact that they're really far in the loss column compared to the Grizzlies, who are already there. And I mean, obviously with JJ Redick's injury, with Zion like kind of on limited minutes, I just don't know. Like, it's going to be really tough. But I mean, let's talk about a team that's kind of already out of the playoff race. At the beginning of the year, it kind of looked like they were in it, but lately they haven't been, with their best player injured. And that's the Minnesota Timberwolves, who I feel like this is one of the more underrated parts of this trade. And I went to Twitter and was basically talking about this guy as like a huge piece once he got traded there. Everyone knows like the trade where Capella went to the Hawks, Robert Covington went to the Rockets, but a lot of people haven't been talking about Malik Beasley going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I mean, in about 11 games with him, he's averaging 21 points, 5 rebounds, about 3 assists. And I mean, they won a lot of big games. They just beat the Miami Heat, just beat the New Orleans Pelicans, who are fighting for a playoff spot. What do you guys think of Malik Beasley right now, and how much easier does this make for the future of the Timberwolves?
Well, he's finally gotten a chance to show what he can do. The more minutes he plays, the better. He'll put up solid numbers. He's never really had the chance to show what he can really do. And, since being with the Timberwolves the last 10 games, he's put in solid numbers. And the thing that has impressed me the most is the fact that he's shooting 43% from 3 while averaging 9 attempts.
Yeah, I was the proponent of trading Malik Beasley, but I thought that they were going to package him with a couple other their young assets and get another star. I wasn't really fond of what they did with him here. Truth be told, he's a great scorer. He's going to fit in well with Minnesota. He's going to be that guy that can knock down open threes, playing off the ball with Cat and D'Lo. So I think he's going to be a good fit.
Yeah, I think he definitely has the talent. I think he was just in a weird situation with the Denver Nuggets, who arguably have like the most talent from 1 to 15, like of any team. Like their 15th guy could probably be like the 10th guy in almost any other team in the league. So obviously they probably had to make some moves. It's unfortunate that he got traded, but ultimately this is a new role for him. I don't think the Nuggets really regret trading him either. I'll mention that because, I mean, there wasn't really any room for him with already like Torrey Craig, Gary Harris, Will Barton, like Monte Morris. Like they already had like a ton of guards, Jamal Murray. It was just going to be hard for him to get a role. But I think with the Timberwolves, he's been playing exceptional. And also really Juan Hernan-Gomez has as well. He's averaging like, I believe, 14 and 6 and on good shooting numbers as well. I think that they secretly got a good deal in the trade, might be the winners at the end of this, like when we look back at it in about 5 or so years.
And also, I can't wait to see how well the Timberwolves do when Wiggins comes back.
The Timberwolves? Oh, wait, you mean like when they, like Warriors, Timberwolves, like when they play or something?
No, I'm talking about Andrew Wiggins when he comes back.
Well, he was with the deal for D'Angelo Russell in the trade.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, regardless, like it's still gonna be interesting, like with Karl Anthony Towns there as well. I think like Beasley complements Karl Anthony Towns pretty nice too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not so sure that he's gonna be the third scorer or whatnot, but I mean, he knocks down open looks. He's got a good shot. So it was worth it in my opinion. I don't know if I'd say it was worth it, but I think he's a good add.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't disagree with you. Obviously, since like I went to Twitter and talked about it, so like obviously I'm on that side. But let's move on to our next topic. Talking about the Bulls, 2 straight weeks, kind of amazing. So Sam Presti, I guess, is on the radar for the Bulls as a potential GM or just being involved in the front office. What's the possibility that you see this like happening, or like what do you think he could do to turn around the Chicago Bulls?
I think he would be a great add. Well, let me just preface this with this. Basically, anybody except for Gar Forman and John Paxson would be a benefit for this team. They need a change of scenery. They need new ownership. They need a lot. Sam Presti has proven together a good team. There's some controversy with what happened in OKC, but he had talent, and he was able to evaluate talent, and he was able to put together a very good team. So, as a Bulls fan, I would be for this. I just want to see a change. That's basically where I stand.
I mean, good chance if the Bulls do get him, it'll help the Bulls because, he's Sam Presti has been with OKC since 2007, and he's done a pretty solid job with them.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like, he's drafted right for that Thunder franchise and got them to their only finals appearance as the OKC Thunder. So definitely, like, I think it would boost the drafting for the Chicago Bulls. I think also it would mean more likely you're going to have better trades. You're not going to have, like, a Derrick Rose and Justin Holiday traded away for, like, a Robin Lopez and, like, bottle caps or whatever, like, else they got. But I think it would mean better trades. I mean, after all, he did get that pretty nice deal for Paul George, and I mean, that's a lot to get back for one player. For Paul George, you get a 20-point per game scorer in Gallinari, and what's now like a 20-point per game scorer in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, along with, like, I believe, like 7 picks? Is that like 7 or something? 8? I can't really remember exactly. But regardless, like...
Well, those picks would include, obviously, the Russell Westbrook deal.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. But then that's another deal that's insane as well. I mean, Chris Paul, like, he's an all-star. And I mean, I think didn't they get like 3 or 4 picks for that? So, I mean, like, obviously he's going to be, looking for the right deals. He's not just going to, like, pull the trigger right away. And that could help the Bulls. I mean, I don't want to be, as a Bulls fan, I don't want to be, like, looking at, like, the 10th or 11th seed, like, the next 10 years. Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and I think a few years ago when Jimmy Butler was still with the Bulls, what the Bulls were trying to do is get young players and let those young Bulls players develop together and make a good team. Yeah,
but the Bulls, I mean, they don't know what they're doing either, because I know they were also, like, the front office came out and said, like, after, like, Rose, Noah, Pau Gasol, all those guys went out the door, that, like, oh, we're going to try and get younger. And then they go out, they sign Dwayne Wade, they sign Rajon Rondo, clearly don't get younger. And then it, like, pushes everything back another year, and then you have to start over, and it's just, like something needs to change. Like, that's, like, the main point here.
Yeah, in my opinion, when they signed Rajon Rondo, that was stupid.
Yeah, and I mean, he did play well in the playoffs, but for the long term, didn't really make too much sense.
Playoff Rondo will never die.
That's true. I mean, we'll get to see him again this year, so it should be interesting. But yeah, we're going to move on to our daily picks, which you guys know we pick like one game for every day, picked randomly. So Friday, and I will mention this, I think I messed up last week, and I picked 2 games on the same day. So there's that. I think I just like completely messed that up. But on Friday, this coming week, we have the Atlanta Hawks playing the Washington Wizards. Who do you think wins that game?
The Hawks.
I'm going to go with Washington, and I'm going to make a prediction that both teams will score in the 140s.
Really? That's pretty good. I mean, Washington has a good offense this year. Hawks have Trae Young, but I'm going to go with the Atlanta Hawks personally. I don't know. I'm just like kind of feeling it. Saturday we got this. Oh, what were you going to say?
I have the Hawks winning because I think the Hawks are going to dominate in the paint. The Wizards have been doing a good job defending in the paint.
Yeah. And Saturday we got the 76ers and the Warriors. Who's winning that game?
I have Warriors. Curry is back. I don't know how long he's going to play, but Warriors can use Curry for screens. 76ers defenses have been doing a bad job defending screens, and we all know how well Curry is, when the Warriors use screens.
I'm going to go with Philly.
I'm also going to go with the Warriors because I don't know how long Simmons and B, those guys are going to be out, and the Warriors will have Curry back. Sunday, we're going to have the Pacers playing the Mavericks. Who's taking the dub there?
I have Pacers.
I'm gonna go with Dallas.
I'm going to go – this is really tough. I'm probably going to go with the Mavericks on this one. Monday, we have the Toronto Raptors and Utah Jazz. Who's winning that?
I have Toronto.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Toronto as well.
They've been hot. They've won 18 out of the last 22.
They have been pretty good. I'm going to go actually with the Utah Jazz. I feel like – I don't know. I feel like a lot of these like are 50-50 either way. Not really like 1-2 dominant team over another. So I just think the Jazz will be on that night. They will have home court advantage. So I'm going to go with Utah. Tuesday, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Chicago Bulls. Who is going to win that one?
I have Chicago.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bulls.
I'm also going to go with the Bulls, but I'm also going to shout out real quick Colin Sexton, who's averaging like 23 points per game ever since the start of February. And, I mean, he is on the Cavs, so that kind of does take it down, but that's pretty impressive for a second-year player.
Yeah, young Bull can score.
Yeah, young Bull, but unfortunately he couldn't be doing that for the Bulls because we've been losing recently. Wednesday, we got the Utah Jazz and Oklahoma City Thunder. Who's taking the win there?
I have Utah.
I'm gonna go with the Thunder.
I'm going to go with the Jazz yet again. And then Thursday,
It's
we
probably going to be a low-scoring game.
Oh, wait, what'd you say? Sorry.
I said that's probably going to be a low-scoring game. I can see it be a low-scoring game, defensive game.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And then Thursday, to round out the week, we have the Chicago Bulls playing in Orlando against the Magic. Who's winning that?
Magic.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Orlando.
See, normally I would go with the Magic, but because the Bulls are basically like out of the playoff race, it almost seems like, I'm going to pick the Bulls because it seems like this would be a game that they'd win, and it almost doesn't matter just to ruin like their lottery chances. So I'm going to pick the Bulls. Just seems like something that happened. But yeah, that's basically going to conclude the show. I don't know if you guys wanted to say anything at the end.
Not much more for me to add.
I have a question to ask you guys.
Go ahead.
Do you guys think the Knicks are going to get Chris Paul in the offseason?
Chris Paul? Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen rumors about Chris Paul, Montrezl Harrell, both those guys being interested, like, from the Knicks. The Knicks just seem like a mess right now. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either.
But I mean,
It seems like it doesn't get good for the Knicks.
yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, obviously, the Knicks in the Leon Rose era are currently undefeated. So, I mean, who knows? If maybe things turn around, it could happen. But, yeah, I think that's basically going to do it for the show. Like I said at the beginning, I'm going to have Sports Wikipedia's link in the description below so you guys can go follow him, check him out, all that kinds of stuff. Obviously, I already have, like, Johnny's link down there, like, every single episode. And my social media, if you guys want to check that out too. But I think that's going to do it for us. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we're out. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.